The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shamiza.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. It's 10 o'clock, Monday, 27th of May, and you're listening to Inspire FM, the Urban Kube show with me, Shamiza, taking it all the way up to 12 o'clock this morning. How are you all? How are you enjoying your Bank Holiday Monday? It's another one, another Bank Holiday Monday. Goodness me, we've had so many. I'm not complaining, people. I am not complaining. How are you getting on with your bank holiday this morning? Are you at home resting? Are you planning to go out and about, or are you doing a bit of gardening this morning, or maybe going to some car boot sale? I don't know. What do you do on a bank holiday Monday? Would love to find out from you. Obviously, I'm in the studio here right now, sharing my bank holiday Monday with you guys, and hopefully you're listening in and you're going to be joining in with the show and keeping me company. It is, the final week of Ramadan, mashallah. It has gone by very, very quickly, and we're quite excited to kind of share what we're going to be doing in celebration of Eid on the show this morning as well, because it's all about the Inspire FM Eid event on the show today, which is all about community. It's making sure that nobody goes out goes without celebrating Ramadan and Eid with its festivities. Do you know what? I'm mumbling. I'm really mumbling right now. I'm a little bit exhausted. I do apologise. I really need to get back into the vibe. Give me a second and inshallah I'll make sure I'm making a little bit more sense. It's catching up with me. It's all catching up with me. Now, folks, the show that you're listening to, the show that I'm mumbling on is Inspire FM, the Urban Kube show. It's a show that celebrates faith-inspired creativity and positive action with creatives across the country, joining me either in the studio or over the phone. And on today's show, no exception, we have a wonderful panel of guests who are making their mark in the world of spoken word and film. And regarding film, we have the fantastic Aneel Ahmad, who is a film documentary maker, an award-winning filmmaker who has recently premiered his short film, Babli, at the Cannes Film Festival. And he's just premiered his film, the short film, which looks on the journey of a man impacted by schizophrenia and mental health, which was received with great applause in London. It premiered in London, and I'm going to be speaking to Aneel Ahmad on the show later on today to talk about his experience making this film and also what it's like actually showcasing at Cannes, which is one of the leading films festivals across the world. So really looking forward to that. Now, mental health is a topic that I regularly feature on the show because it needs to be talked about. The issue needs to be spoken about with empathy and also understanding as well. And it's always wonderful to be joined by guests who are using their platforms to engage with audiences around this topic, which is often stigmatized, but we understand and appreciate that more and more is being highlighted around mental health issues and the different spectrums that are impacting cross generations. So inshallah, looking forward to not just speaking to Aneel Ahmad, but also a fantastic poet by the name of Malika Speaks. Now, she is a young creative from Peterborough who've had the pleasure of performing in the show. Now she's going to be joining me over the phone, inshallah, very, very shortly to talk about her latest poetry and her video diaries. And she herself has been impacted by mental health, and she's using this platform to showcase and engage her thoughts to a wider audience with the hope of making connections with individuals who may be impacted by this, to reach out and to talk about and get the support that they need. Also joined by another fantastic poet, live performance by Asim the Poet, who is joining me from Leicester, inshallah. And I came across his profile because he did some amazing snippets around Ramadan. So he's going to be sharing some Ramadan vibes on the show as well. Now, I would love you to get in touch with me to tell me where you're tuning in from. What's the furthest place that people are listening in from? Because we do go out to Luton surrounding areas, Peterborough, Sheffield and Nottingham this morning. But I'd like to know if anybody's listening further afield and how Ramadan is going for them as well. It is the blessed month, mashallah. We are in the final 10 days. Please do keep myself and the presenters and the whole community in your du'as, inshallah. And maybe reap the rewards of the final few days as well, inshallah. Now we're going to be talking about what's going to be happening after Ramadan. Then it's only the Inspire FM Eid event. It's the first time Inspire FM are launching a Eid festival, an Eid fair. This is happening at Lucy Park on the 4th and the 5th next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. But it's slightly different. What we're trying to do is encourage the community to support us with this initiative, which is community-led. It actually is community-led, encouraging families who would not be able to afford to celebrate Eid, families who are actually having to send their children to school because the reality is there's lots of families who cannot afford the expense of Eid. We want to make sure that they're coming out and celebrating Eid. They deserve to. They have a right to. They deserve to. And it's beautiful how the community is making that possible. We are trying to provide free rides for all the families, inshallah, that can't afford to do so. And we're going to find out how that has been made possible with Brother Tariq at the end, or nearing the end of the show, inshallah. And do tune in on Friday on the Mother's Planet show with Sister Neelam. And she'll be also sharing this wonderful project that Inspire FM are leading the way in making sure that Eid is affordable for everyone and everybody comes together and celebrates the beautiful essence of Eid, which is about laughter, it's about love, it's about community, and it's about bringing people together. And really, really so proud of the community because it's a community project, the festival led by Inspire FM, but it's actually been led by you guys. You guys are actually leading it, subhanAllah. It was on a show that Brother Tariq on the Rise and Shine show. It was Amelia, I think it was Amelia, is a grandfather who'd contacted the studio and said that he was wanting to pay for the rides for the children. So he sponsored rides for the kids, and it just grew and grew and grew. And we've had so many other people coming forward and making donations so that children in foster care, in children whose families are struggling on the breadline, can make Eid a wonderful place to celebrate. And they're going to be doing that at Lucy Park, inshallah, at the Eid festival there. That's happening. Okie doke, folks. Less of me and more about the guests, inshallah. So we're going to be joined by a fantastic young poet very, very shortly. Her name is Malika Speaks, and she's somebody that's really making waves in the poetry scene, especially in highlighting mental health. So we are going to be speaking to her very, very shortly. The time is 9 minutes past 10. My topic for today's show is it's hacks for Eid. Is there a hack for Eid? Are there ways that what do you do on Eid to make things more interesting for your children and your family? What do you do on Eid? Do you have a particular breakfast that you prepare? Do you decorate your house? Do you have particular Eid games? Would love to find out how you make Eid an exciting space for your family and children. To do that, you need to contact us on 07779 481822. Another question I'd like to ask is, because the clothes are quite expensive, and if you have on Eid, and it's sunnah to wear brand new clothes, but it's also sunnah to make sure that the clothes are clean. Do you do you always buy brand new clothes on Eid, or do you wear clothes that you've already got, but making sure that they're clean? I'd love to know. I'd love to find out what people do, to make things easier for themselves, make it a little bit more affordable. Folks, as always, joined by fantastic guests in the studio, and no exception here. I'm joined by the very fantastic Malika Speaks. She's been launching her new poem around mental health, and she's joining me once again on the show. Marshall, I had the pleasure of having her in the studio, and now it's over the phone. And Malika is really making waves in getting people to just to follow her journey of recovery and maintenance of mental health, really. And she is one of many people that's speaking more and more about this. But she, like many, believe more needs to be done. And she feels it's up to the community, up to us to make sure that we do so. As always, an absolute pleasure having the very awesome Malika Speaks join the studio. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Shamaza. It's lovely to be back.
It sure is. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very, very well. It's Bank Holiday Monday, so thank you for giving me your time this morning and
problem.
allowing me to share your awesome voice and your creativity. Ramadan Mubarak, my dear.
Khair Mubarak, Khair Mubarak. The pleasure is mine, Shamaza. The pleasure is mine.
And how's it been for you so far?
Alhamdulillah. You know what? I have to say, I think I was a bit worried about the heat because last year it was quite intense. But, down to Allah's mercy, it's been easy this time. And it's going really fast. I feel like everyone feels like it's going really fast.
It's whizzing by, isn't it? It really is. We're in the final 10 days. This is the final week, inshallah. And the weather has cooled down quite a bit. It was quite bright across Luton at the weekend, but it was raining yesterday. And the rain yesterday was really quite cooling and very, 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 very just calming as well. It was beautiful. Definitely. My dear, are you calling in from Peterborough? Is that correct?
I am. Yes, you're right. I am.
And how is the community in Peterborough? Have they been doing any open iftaris?
Do you know what? There have been plenty of them. I went to one a week ago. I think it was a week ago on Friday. We had an interfaith iftar, which was really beautiful. It was held inside the Peterborough Cathedral. And that was kind of open to anyone and everyone, specifically encouraging people of other faiths or no faith to come and have a look and see what it's like to, experience iftar and learn a little bit about Ramadan as well. It was a really, really nice experience.
MashaAllah. And I'm noticing so many every single day in a variety of different spaces across the country, and wonderful looking at the social media and the pictures and seeing how diverse the communities are as well. Now, I have asked my previous guests about Ramadan goals, so I will be asking you slightly later on about what your Ramadan goals have been. Have you been able to achieve them? And will you be taking them across after Ramadan as well? But I also want to find out from yourself, is there a particular traditional sehri or iftari dish that your family creates or you create that is a must on the dining table?
Do you know what, Shamaza? I'm about to disappoint you because we're quite boring. Cereal seems to be the tradition for Sesame in our house.
Oh, bless you. And what is that?
Cereal.
Cereal?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We're quite boring. It's because everyone's just in such a rush in the morning, and we're just like, what's easy, what's quick to have?
Okay, mashallah, long live cereal. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, Weetabix was always on the first thing we reached out for, but now we've got a little bit more into like the porridge vibe and the oats vibe. We're going a little bit more
healthy. It's a bit
healthy.
more long-lasting, isn't it?
Definitely. Long-lasting is something that you want to create through the words that you write to set an impression that lasts longer than 3 seconds. And the topic that you're focusing on is mental health, mashallah. Why mental health, Malika? It seems like an obvious question, but in your own words.
Well, why not mental health? I mean, there's every reason to focus on something which is such an issue right now. You know, it's becoming a crisis increasingly, and more specifically, I think there's a need for the Muslim and the BME community to be a little bit more explicit in their conversations around mental health. I think we're quite nervous and apprehensive about approaching the topic. And for me, in my perspective, personally, I just think sometimes it's a case of, just being a little bit vulnerable. And it's not an easy thing to do, but that's kind of what I'm aiming with this, video diary project, to just be open and honest about my experiences and not to dwell so much on how bad it is, to highlight it for the purpose of, educating and increasing awareness around what it really feels like, but more so to focus on the journey of how to better your mental health, how to manage your mental health.
Now, it's a video diary that you've already launched, and that video diary is, mashallah, circulating. So tell me what is included in this diary. What is it that you're saying?
Okay, so again, I don't want to kind of dwell on, this is what I've been through, only because I want to, put positivity out there. So what I'm trying to do is discuss what I'm experiencing physically, mentally, and then using different techniques which I've come across and I've researched, and through therapy I've been taught, such as mindfulness, increasing physical exercise, cutting out sugary foods and drinks, meditation, etc., and kind of focusing on them, in segments, whether that be a week or 2 weeks, and feeding back how that experience was. And I'm trying to, encourage people to join in. And whether they want to comment or not, that's entirely up to them. But at least I just feel that if you have someone that you can relate to, people can relate to my identity, whether that be female, Muslim, etc., and they can see someone, talking about it, I'm hoping that it will give people courage to be open about their feelings and seek support where necessary.
Inshallah. And how can people access this video diary, and how can they get in touch with you?
So the best way to follow my work would be on Instagram. So it's at Malika Speaks. On there, in my bio, is a link to my YouTube channel, so you can access quite easily all the videos that I have so far. I'll be doing some Instagram Live as I, go through this journey and, trial different things and see how it works. That's kind of my main platform, but I'm also on Twitter as well, which is again at Malika Speaks. You'll see, a lot of thoughts popping up there as well. So they're the two main engagement points. And please, what I would say as well, it's not just about you following me and watching me. I really, really want this to be for people. So, please do come, and I'm very, very open. My inbox is always open. My comments is always open. Tell me what you're feeling, what you're thinking, experiencing, and what you think of this. And the idea is to go through this journey together.
And it's a very brave journey, and you are being very open, and a diary is a very personal thing, but to have which is normally private, but you're making it more public. It takes somebody to be quite brave to do that. How has the response from your family and friends been so far with the diary?
Do you know what? I'm incredibly lucky to have so much support from my loved ones. I will be honest, I have had very small, but some, fears pop up. People kind of warning me, so to speak, don't speak too much about it or don't be too open, etc. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. It's quite not disheartening, but it did make me feel a bit like, obviously no one wants to hear something negative. But I think for me, it was a reminder that this is why we need to do this, because there is still that fear and stigma around talking about these things, and the idea is to break that taboo.
Folks, if you've just tuned in, you're listening to the Urban Kube. It's 19 minutes past 10, and I'm joined by Malika Speaks, who's a spoken word poet. She has just launched her video diaries around mental health, sharing her own personal experience with the hope that you will not only engage with her journey, but also get involved and share yours. It's an absolute pleasure having you, Malika, to share this very, very personal journey of yours, mashallah. And apart from the video diaries that you do, Malika, you're also a spoken word poet that's gaining a lot of recognition across the country as well. So much so that you were part of a Cambridge, I think it was a 50-50 project, Cambridge, launched in Cambridge from the BBC, which was encouraging women more equal representation of women in news stories.
Yeah, so I was really I felt quite honoured to be able to attend and be part of, that opportunity. I think, again, kind of linking to why I'm doing this video project, I think that there needs to be a lot more equal representation of people of different, not just genders, but, cultural backgrounds. And especially, we talk a lot about how we're in this generation of identity crisis, so to speak. I think it's important to have people who are in that kind of crossover, who have multiple cultural backgrounds and experiences, to be out there and on the face of media talking about their experiences and representing quite a large part of the community.
Since this project has been launched, there has been more women specialists in their fields being represented in the news. How does that make you feel?
Excited. I'm really excited. And as I said, I'm quite passionate about that myself, about having that representation and women being empowered and given the space and opportunities to be able to be in these places. I think is very, very vital.
And space is something that you do own, my dear, with your spoken word. You've been really respected by many a folk as definitely a emerging star in the spoken word field, and something that you've been a project that you've been supporting has been like Lantern via Safura Houghton. We were speaking about that event. How when you came on the previous show, what was that experience like, and what was the response?
It was amazing. I have to just, really praise Sephora for her efforts. The Lantern Initiative is an amazing organisation. They're really, again, pushing the topic of mental health out there. And you know what? It was really nice to see that at the event, although it was around, BME individuals, there was still non-Muslim and white people that came. And it was really nice to see that engagement, because I think it reflects this, in order for the integration and the awareness to increase, we need that support from the wider community, from every person. Is relevant to everybody. So again, like in relation to these videos, it's not just for a specific demographic. It's for anyone and everyone. And it was really, just to add, it was really nice to have the opportunity to share my work, because that really is coming from a place of, from my mental health experiences. So it was really nice to be able to share my story and what that felt like, going through the progression.
Now, sharing your story is something that we're really looking forward to hearing. I just wanted to know, apart from the video diaries, are you performing more pieces across the country, more spoken word pieces?
Oh yes, inshallah, yes. In the summer, more details will be arising, but I'm hoping to actually create my own event for female Muslim poets, because I'm hearing about all of these young girls that write poetry, and I'm thinking, why are you not getting out there? Come on, represent us. As a female, as a Muslim, share. Don't deprive the world of your work. And there are a couple of things in London which I'm looking to go to, but my advice would be to follow me on Instagram, and all of that information will be there, so you can keep up to date and see me at events.
Fantastic.
I'd love to see you guys there.
And now, do you have anything that you're able to kind of share with us this morning? Is there something that you'd like to perform?
Ooh. I guess because it's relevant to my topics, I could share my anxiety poem. If you'd like to hear that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My eyes open, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. What's happening to me? My hand clutches my chest, I can't rest, I sit up, it's too much, just stop please, I can't, it's too much, I can't breathe, have mercy on me. This anxiety, He steals the peace from me. He has this way of consuming my body without having to see it through my brain. It drives me insane, especially because there doesn't need to be a situation to blame. His presence just appears without any warning. It can be anywhere, anytime, night or morning. He taunts me, but I can't see him haunting. In fact, ghosts wouldn't be as scary or daunting, knowing that when I wake up, he could be there expecting me, waiting to capture my hope, filling my body with fear and question, making me doubt what I think I know I tried to fight it, but without a pause, he grows until I fell out of control and my mind wants to explode. Bang, they don't love you. Bang, you always get it wrong. Bang, you're not good enough. Bang, you'll never be strong. Yet I'm submerged in silence. No one sees our abusive relationship, such a loveless one, but I've never experienced so much commitment, because I can assure you he's attached. No matter how many times I try to unlatch him, he comes back. He doesn't think about how this is affecting me, and sometimes I can't deal with this frustration. He kills the light inside me without any hesitation, but I refuse to be victimized. So instead, I use him as inspiration.
Mashallah, that was absolutely stunning, Hannah. And we're heading off to a break now.
Inspiring, engaging, educating. This is Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shamiza.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It's 10:30, Monday 27th of May. You're listening to me, Shamiza, taking you all the way up to 12 o'clock on the Urban Kube show, brought to you on Inspire FM. And just before the break, we had the pleasure of listening to Malika Speaks, who was sharing a poem that went straight into the break around anxiety. I still have Malika on the phone this morning, and we're just going to catch up with her again regarding that poem and this video diary that she has produced and has launched in order to connect with those struggling with mental health, but also sharing her journey as well. Assalamu alaikum, Malika.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so very much for staying on the line, and your very poignant poem, which was very beautifully presented. We went off into the break, so I just want to say sorry about that, and thank you for staying on the line with us. Now, the poem, mashallah, was quite intense. It was very reflective of your journey of anxiety. How easy was that to perform?
Do you know what? When I wrote that poem, it was from a very raw place, and I'll be honest, each time I read it, it does take me back there a little bit. I feel it in my chest, because I recall the intensity of the emotions I felt, that produced these words. But having said that, I see it as a privilege to be able to communicate this in the hope of educating, people around what it feels like to experience anxiety.
MashaAllah. And educating and inspiring others is something that you're hoping to create a platform for, not just via your video diary blogs, but also encouraging and engaging young Muslim women to come forward and own their space in using the medium of writing. So there's something that you're hoping to launch later on. Do you want to share that again with our listeners, in the hope that somebody listening in may want to connect with you?
Yeah, so do follow my Instagram at Malika Speaks and on Twitter at Malika Speaks. In my bio, there'll be a link to my YouTube page where I am launching a project, a video diary project, which is kind of a documentation of my journey on taking care of my mental well-being and managing my mental well-being. So the idea is, yes, I'd love to be able to share, what's going on, to hopefully encourage people to come forward and talk about their feelings and, seek support where necessary. But, feel free, and I encourage people to get involved, use the comments, use the inbox. Please, connect with me, because I want to hear from you and I want this to be for people.
Wonderful. You heard it, people. Get connected. And I'm also asking all my guests this morning and our listeners about Ramadan goals. How has there been anything that you set yourself to do, and have you been able to achieve it?
Yeah, so for me, this Ramadan, my focus was on connecting with the Quran. So reading the translation and understanding it that bit more. Um, at the moment, I'm going through, alhamdulillah, like I feel like I'm going through a personal journey where I feel like I'm trying to understand the Quran more. And there's so much beauty in the Quran. There's so many miracles linguistically, mathematically, scientifically, and it's really making me fall in love with Islam and be ever more grateful to be a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And on top of that, focusing on my well-being. Our bodies have a right over us. They're a gift from Allah. So we have to take care of ourselves, and Ramadan is a perfect opportunity to do that while we're fasting, cleansing ourselves. And a lot of well-being management mirrors a lot of Islamic concepts such as mindfulness, gratitude, being positive, forgiveness, letting go of negativity, self-care in the form of cleanliness and balancing your consumption, etc.
Wow, mashallah, that's some real great words of wisdom there. And it always comes back to the Quran, so mashallah. And alhamdulillah for your journey and for sharing that with us. It was beautifully put. And now we are going to be heading on to our next guest very, very shortly, and who is another poet by the name of Asim the Poet, and who's going to be sharing his Ramadan reflections as well. I want to say a massive big thank you, Malika, for joining us this morning, and please do keep us in your du'as, and especially in the final 10 days. And are you looking forward to attending any Eid festivals? Maybe you might want to come to the one in Luton.
I might just have to, Shemaz. I might just have to take your invitation up, inshallah.
Do you have any particular rides that you like? Do you still sit on rides?
You know what? I do. I love rides. I'm such a kid when it comes to rides.
There's no age limit, right? And we've got loads of rides. So inshallah, we hope to see you at the Inspire FM Eid Festival, which is happening on the 3rd and 4th of June. Tuesday and Wednesday, and we've got lots of rides for £1. Malika, £1. When have you heard a ride?
I think I'm coming.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. So it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you this morning, and we hopefully look forward to seeing you on at the Eid Festival as well.
Inshallah.
Take care. Have a wonderful Ramadan.
You too. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. So that was the absolutely awesome Malika Speaks, who shared her personal journey of mental health, and she is broadening this journey by sharing video diaries around the topic. And I've just been given a flyer. No, I gave the right date. It's the 4th and 5th of June. What did I say? Okay, folks. All right, so Brother Tariq has just come into the studio and told me I got the wrong date. It is actually the 4th and 5th of June, Lucy Park, Luton, and it's the Inspire FM Eid event. Together we celebrate. He is the expert. And the rides, he's putting his fingers up, telling me the rides are £1. The rides are £1. Now, Brother Tariq will be joining the show to give the correct details. So there's no reason for me to get anything incorrect. So he'll be joining the show and actually sharing with us this absolutely fantastic community effort, a community effort by you guys. From one radio show, a suggestion was made by the community itself. It started off with one listener saying that they would like to sponsor rides for the local children so that no child doesn't have the opportunity to sit on a ride, because it does get expensive. Let's be honest, when you've got a number of children, it does get quite expensive taking them to these wonderful spaces, but really being conscious about the amount of money that you have to spend. So this is an event that makes it affordable for all children from all backgrounds, with the opportunity of also providing children children from our community free rides as well. Yeah, you heard it, guys. Free rides that have been donated by you lot. How awesome is that? We'll find out from Brother Tariq at the latter half of the show, inshallah, how that was made possible and how you can get involved. Now, I want to ask you guys listening in, Do you go on, like, if you know, do you go on fairground rides? You know, if you're over the age of 20, do you still go on the rides? I mean, Malika said that she does. There's no age limit for her. She will go on any ride, whatever age. What about yourselves? Maybe my next guest, Asim, could share his experience of like fairground rides. I'm really delighted to be joined by another fantastic poet, all the way from Leicester this morning, and he is making his mark in the world of poetry. He's a spoken word artist, a motivational speaker and storyteller, and soon to be author from Leicester. And he's delivering hard-hitting stories with an aim to present hope and spread positivity through his word and words. Asim uses spoken words to express emotions as a way to convey powerful messages to help others. Assalamu alaikum, Asim.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing?
I'm very well, brother, this morning. And Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Mubarak, and to you as well. I'm really delighted to be on the show. It's a great honour for you, so thank you so much.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you join us on this bank holiday Monday. What would you have been doing otherwise?
I'd actually be awake, preparing for a few events that I've been asked to do, so I'm trying to make the most of it. So alhamdulillah, to be able to perform as well is even better for me.
Fantastic. And performing is something you're doing exceptionally well, with a wonderful following, not just in your hometown of Leicester, but also across the country as well. And some of those poems have been shared on Instagram, and that's where I got to hear you, and snippets around Ramadan. So why are you writing about Ramadan?
I've been writing specifically about Ramadan to continue not just my own journey through poetry, but hoping just to inspire others as well, even if it's just that one person. Specifically about Ramadan, there's a lot of things about the blessed month that I feel that goes overlooked or sometimes doesn't take in consideration. As when we know certain things that have been passed down from our teachers, from our scholars, about how blessed this month is, how merciful this month is, and just also certain reminders for ourselves pretty much on a daily basis. I've been doing this, alhamdulillah.
When reminders are presented poetically, does that have a different, does that deliver a message slightly different, do you think?
I always find it for myself to be able to deliver these messages. And even when receiving poetry, when I'm hearing poetry for myself, I sit down and reflect a lot more about myself. And certain things I feel if they're said in a poetical manner, there can be a lot of messages that can be understood in different ways, all leading to the same point. So I find it quite a beautiful thing.
When did your journey towards poetry begin?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I'd say about 15 years ago, believe it or not. So, alhamdulillah, my journey was based upon two main things. When I was a lot younger, I was around a lot of people who were singing nats and nasheeds in different languages, and I never quite understood what was being said in praise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for myself, it was like, I could learn the language, but why not write your own? I was given this sort of insight to be able to do it. And at the same time, in my own life as well, as a child, I was bullied a lot. And I found it as an amazing let-out for myself to be able to express myself when those times I wasn't able to be able to express myself. And alhamdulillah, through the ages, with all the different experiences that I've had, here I am today. So it's for me, it's a really main thing for myself to be able to express the way I'm feeling.
MashaAllah. And it's an expression that you don't share with just yourself, but you expand that expression through your motivational speaking as well. So what topics do you discuss as a motivational speaker, and why did you want to motivate others?
Sure. When I'm back in the days, I like to think I grew up in a very negative or cynical sort of background with some parts of my upbringing, and I've always looked for some sort of light, some sort of hope for myself, and it came to the same conclusion for myself, was rather than looking, why not create it myself and be able to not spread the message not just for others but also as a lesson for my own self. So I started finding that I wasn't just alone in the sense of being bullied, in the sense of being in a state of despair. So I decided from then on, as I learned more about Islam, especially with Islam, and being around certain individuals who provided that hope and gave me that love and that inspiration to be able to start doing this and hoping to spread the same message across the world.
Mashallah. And it's a message that you're actually now taking into the pages of a book as an author. So it doesn't, you know, your passion and talent for writing, you're exploring so many different avenues. Now you're writing a book. Is the book complete, and what is the topic?
This book, I found it's really special to me. In the end of 2017, I was granted the great honor to visit the Blessed Lands, and I was for Umrah in Makkah, Medina. And I spent Medina. It's quite a funny story, but I was with the group that I had after going back after 20 years. After going back, the group I had was only compiled of 3 people, and after the first 3 days, the first 2 people left. So I was left alone. And in that time, I had an intention just to sit within the grounds of Masjid Nabawi as close as I could and just write and just continue writing. And this book, which started off as a poetry book, turned out to become an endless love letter from me to Rasulullah. So it's an expression of love, a conversation for me to have. And I've had this book for quite some time, but because of other dedications I've had, I've been able to start getting this on board. But inshallah, I've decided for this Ramadan is to start typing it up and hoping to have this published soon.
Inshallah, it sounds absolutely amazing. And I hope by next Ramadan we'll be having you recite it on the show, inshallah. And I'm sure our listeners will be very curious as well to get hold of the book. You mentioned typing. So typing, you know what? Everybody types. Can you handwrite? Because I had a conversation with somebody and we struggled to actually write anything with a pen and paper because constantly typing.
Sure. The book I've written was just the book. It was me, my book, and my pen. So I did write an entire book just by pen. So I feel like I can write. Typing does have its benefits with it. Again, you can always go back and change things and so forth. But I think with pen, it's a lot more intimate. And I kind of, especially with the book, I really didn't want to scribble anything out. So I kind of went with the flow.
Wow.
So if there was a word I written, I said, Bismillah, it doesn't matter. If it's not something, I may look back thinking, okay, you know what, that could sound better. I just kind of went with the flow and just seeing where it goes. And I felt as if as we know, the time I went was Rabi al-Awwal. So let's call it when the spring that poured out from my heart to my pen poured across the page, and I just went with the flow rather than trying to block it or guide it.
That's just tremendous. What an amazing journey, and just allowing the pen to flow in the most beautiful of places, mashallah, in the most beautiful time as well. Folks, if you're listening in, I'm speaking to no other than Asim the Poet, who's a spoken word poet, artist, motivational speaker, storyteller, and author to be from Leicester, and he is on the show this morning sharing his creative journey. Now, Asim, I'm sure our listeners are quite curious to hear you in action, so I'm going to roll it over to you, brother.
Sure.
Is there anything, would you like to share a piece with us this morning on the Urban Kube?
Yeah, inshallah. I have this piece. This particular piece I have, it's called Presenting the Gift of Poetry. This piece is linked to the topic of Ramadan, and it actually goes across a question I keep getting asked. I haven't made the most of this Ramadan. Mm-hmm. And it kind of links to this, and I will explain the end, inshallah. Are you okay for me to make a start?
Yeah, Bismillah.
Yeah, Bismillah. I have sample love from letters and devotional pages. With each passionate word I savor, my palate overtaken with something that cannot be mistaken. I have tasted this creation's love story filled with chapters of various faces. From phrases and quotes, some embody the sunnah shining with positivity and hope. I'm stoked, as many recite poetry, yet others sing beautiful praises. Many read salawat, bringing shyness to the angels. Speechless, The lovers cannot conceal their love. It is pours out their broken hearts like honey, dripping, with no grief or worry, leaving trails of sweetness unable to be quenched. These parched tongues are forever left. This is their state, this reality, and they consider themselves blessed. So I close this book to open what's next, mine. I begin chapter 1 and 2 of smiles and celestial highs, calling to the heavens by Allah. This love has brought my dead heart to life. As tears profusely fall, only now I realize why they say love is blind. Floods refuse me to see my pen, let alone begin to write. I attempt to board the ark, guided by the moon, Dala al-Badru, in the midst of the night, with my heart screaming for you, Wa Muhammad, as if that promised day is already a sight. So with Bismillah, chapter 3, verse 30, Subhanallah, pen picked up, Alhamdulillah, writing, Allahu Akbar, I'm free, times 3. Constantly yearning to fulfill my ultimate dream, being at your gates in your presence, I am granted this desire to find true peace of disbelief, al-Islam. Leaving all hardships, switching direction, they scamper away like Abraha's army. And in return enters that promise of the unwritten word, that beautiful ease. Flowing with this first spring, the words pour free, minerals of love due to your name and speech, infusing this poetry, making each word sweet. Leading me to chapter 4. I enter your door, ecstasy overpowers my being, calling upon Allah, the all-seeing. What has become of myself? I have no self-feeling, as if my king has snatched away the sleep from my dreaming and the reality is given. I truly begin believing. Chapter 5, I am alive witnessing. Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. A call that echoes and that taste has remained. I pick up this pen again and again, imprison myself into lock and chain, opening the book of lovers, returning back to it again and again. But how can I compete with the lovers, the friends, for those who breathe air less than the salawat that they send? With my weak attempts, with these hands I resent, with spoken word I regret. Each time I write, I begin to reflect that in this forever long queue I would be at the end. So before I even start with 6 and 7, before I even take a fragrance of heaven, I'm asking, what have I got to show you, my beloved, as a present? And even with this thought, I remain overwhelmed. So I must, for my end, prepare for each and every day to write for my king from this disobedient slave. From when Munkar and Nakir ask me the third question about this person, what do you say? I will respond with volumes and libraries that I have written for my Habib, writing and singing poetry. I continue to praise. Even then, I know, Ya Rasulullah, you do not deny this gift. So I ask, please take this from my heart, take this from me, for I crave just to write you poetry. Even though I am nowhere near a poet, nowhere near indeed, for Hassan bin Sabit writes eloquence, and in comparison, I'm still learning the alphabet, attempting to read. But my life is now a dedication to make my true ultimate dream, for you to cast your enchanting glance, saying, Asim, Bismillah, recite for me. Okay.
Thank you so very much, brother. That was a very beautiful poem, and what a journey that you took us on, mashallah. If this is the way you're delivering your poetry, the book is going to be exceptional. Brother, we are going to be heading off to a break. Quickly, sure. I would like to ask you, firstly, how can people get in contact with you, and how can they hear you perform? Where can they hear you perform next?
Sure. If you want to get in contact with myself, it's on Instagram, Asim the Poet, ASIM the Poet. Also on Facebook, a few clips on YouTube as well. My next events, inshallah, I'm coming from a lineup come through. I'm performing, ironically, even though I'm in Leicester, I'm performing a lot more in London. So it's really best to get in touch with me on Instagram. I'll be promoting a lot of my events on there, inshallah.
Inshallah. And before we head off to the break, Ramadan goals, what have you been able to maintain throughout Ramadan, and what have you been able to achieve?
For me, the two things, as I live by, embodying the sunnah as well. Firstly, the poetry. Alhamdulillah, every single day I'm just trying to write a little piece. And secondly, just to maintain positivity and hope in everything I'm doing.
Mashallah, mashallah. Thank you so very much, brother. But you know, I'm not going to let you go without you telling me your favourite sehri or iftari traditional meal. What do you have? Because we had Malika saying cereal. She has cereal.
No, I can't do cereal. As much as I love gin, ironically, I've been having a lot of donuts for cereal. Don't ask why, but it's just one of those things. Oh, sorry, ice lollies as well.
Ice lollies and donuts. That's a new one.
I just only use donuts and fruit for some strange reason.
Well, at least you got the fruit in. That's the most important thing. And we've got a fantastic Inspire FM Eats Together We Celebrate event where we're trying to encourage communities to come together, celebrate and making it affordable. Now, rides are a big thing. Do you still go on rides, Asim? Do you still go on the rides?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Do you have a favourite ride?
I love all types of rides, roller coasters, log films, whatever, you name it.
You know, you need to come to this event. It's happening Inspire FM 4th and 5th of June, inshallah. And I hope you get to perform in Luton as well one day.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Thank you so very much, brother Asim. Anything you'd like to say to our guests? Our listeners?
For our listeners, keep smiling and stay positive, as always.
Mashallah. Thank you so very much, Asim, for joining us this morning. And may you continue having so much, delivering the amazing poetry that you do, and have a beautiful Ramadan.
Okay, and to you as well.
That was Asim the Poet, that he joined us all the way from Leicester this morning over the phone. An absolute pleasure listening to him performing the beautiful piece that he's wrote. And Asim actually has penned a book that he did in Medina, mashallah, which he'll be releasing very, very shortly. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading that book and getting him live in the studio to share that. Now we're heading off to a break, folks. After the break, we're talking all about films that have been premiered all the way in Cannes, the film festival. So we'll be joined by no other than film documentary maker Aneel Ahmad, who joins me again as a guest on the show, sharing his experience as well as the premiere in London of his film Babli, which looks at the life of a man who's suffering with schizophrenia. So this film is based around mental health, and that mental health is a topic that we've been discussing quite a lot across many of the shows. So it'll be very interesting to hear his story around this very notable film. So heading off to a break, inshallah, for more great conversations and great guests. So don't go away. Stay with me only on Inspire FM.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shamiza.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It's 11 o'clock, Monday 27th of May, and you're listening to me, Shamiza, taking you all the way up to 12 o'clock on the Urban Kube show, brought to you on Inspire FM. We're going live and direct to all our listeners across Luton surrounding areas and across the radio stations of Peterborough, Salam Radio and Sheffield's Link FM. A massive big salams to everybody listening in, and we are entering the final 10 days of Ramadan, mashallah. May it be a blessed one for you all. May you reap the rewards for your prayers and your ibadat, and all your du'as be answered. So please do keep us, the Inspire FM team, in your du'as as well, as always. And now, I've had a great show this morning. I've been mumbling a little bit. I do apologise. Maybe it's the bank holiday vibe. I'm just incy-wincy, a little bit tired, but raring to go as well. We had the pleasure of listening to Malika Speaks on the first part of the show, where she was talking to us about her video diary, her very personal video diary that she's launching out, encouraging not just sharing her story of mental health, but also encouraging viewers to get involved as well. Then we had the absolute pleasure of listening to another live performance by no other than Asim the Poet, another talented young man, a motivational speaker, an author and a performing poet, who shared with us his passion for writing, but writing as a means of sharing his expression through actually his experience of bullying as well. These were two fantastic guests on the show talking to us about how they're using their platforms to share the message of mental health. And it doesn't stop there. I'm joined by another tremendous guest all the way from London this morning, who also is using his platform of documentary filmmaking to share the story of an individual that has been impacted by chronic depression and schizophrenia. This film successfully ended up being screened at the Cannes Film Festival and was premiered across London at the weekend as well. I'm talking about no other than the very talented, award-winning film documentary maker, no other than Aneel Ahmad, who's joining me this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Aneel.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you? You okay?
I'm very well. I'm very, very well. Thank you, Aneel. I understand you're checking out from the hotel. I was going to say hospital then. Hotel.
Yeah, so apologies for any traffic. But yeah, I'm just leaving back to Manchester now. So
Wow.
it was a good screening.
A fantastic screen. You've had a tremendous couple of weeks. Manchester to Cannes, down to London. It hasn't stopped. What's it been like having your film screened in Cannes, Aneel?
It was amazing because the film was selected by a really prestigious jury members.
Mm-hmm.
One of them included the Oscar-winning documentary and filmmaker Asim the Poet. So I was really proud that some of the jury members were so of a high caliber. So it was really good. So. And going to Cannes, yeah, that was an experience. It was the screening was fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of rich people around there, but overall, yeah, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed the screening at the cinema, and getting the story out. So I was really proud about that.
That's absolutely fantastic, and it's a story that has received a lot of great reviews. It's been applauded by the audience. It's a subject that has really kind of resonated quite deep with the viewers. Now, mashallah, the film itself, the short documentary, was, as you'd mentioned, was premiered at Cannes Film, but it was a finalist. It became a finalist across a number of films, mashallah, and it was selected, as you said, by a very notable jury. Did you ever imagine your film career from the heart of Manchester would take you all the way to somewhere like Cannes?
To be honest with you, I don't really, I mean, as a filmmaker, I don't really look at it that way. I just think, right, okay, what's a good subject? What should I make?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of documentaries or films should I make? And I just focus on that. Sorry, more than anything else. And but I'm very, very proud that it actually got screened at the Cannes Film Festival. But as a filmmaker, you're always just looking at the topic and the subject of what you can make. And if it does get some form of accolade and people really like the film, then that's just a bonus. But obviously, you want the audience to like the film as well. So
of course, it makes a
difference. I was very proud. Yeah, exactly. So I was very, very proud that when the film got screened, there were a few people crying next to me, and I was kind of astonished by the reaction of the people in the cinema. And the good thing about Cannes, it's a diverse audience from Switzerland to Germany, Italy, France, you name it. There was probably somebody there from from every country around the world. So for me, that was a very, very positive feedback for the short that I actually just made recently. So yeah, I was very, very proud of that.
Mashallah. It was a short that has received a lot of interest, and already you've premiered it in London. But I want to kind of talk about the actual topic itself, because for you the topic is very important, and you follow, and as a documentary filmmaker, you followed the journey of a man, and the film is called Babli, which is quite an interesting title itself, but it's a man following the life of a middle-aged man suffering from schizophrenia and chronic depression. Why did you pick that topic?
Yeah, well, it's called Babli because the person is called Babli. That's his nickname. So that's why it's called Babli. And originally I was actually going to go back to Pakistan and do a short documentary on my father, who had a brain hemorrhage a few years ago. So it was just, I was going to do one of those documentaries that you follow somebody and how they remember their life back in the 50s and 60s and 40s. And but then the actual person, Babli, is actually my cousin. So I saw him. Last time I saw him was about 15, 20 years ago, and he was actually okay then. But I think he did suffer from some sort of mental issues before then, but they weren't prominent. But now it seemed to have affected him a lot because he got married and he got divorced about 20 years ago, and he suffers from schizophrenia anyway. And it was just a very emotional time to see him. So then I just thought, right, okay, this seems like a good topic to work on. And as a documentary filmmaker, if you see something and there's something there to be made, then you just make it. So it was just by chance that I decided to make it. It wasn't something that I was planning. And thank God, inshallah, mashallah, that I made the film, and the film has been received really well. So it was something really close to my heart, but I actually still wanted to highlight the issues that especially Asian people have. I mean, I know I shot the film in Pakistan and it's come to England, but then it made me very wary of how we as Asian people, as Muslim people, Pakistanis actually deal with people with mental issues, especially mental health issues, especially families, and how we perceive mental health, especially in religion and obviously in culture. So it's good for it to be aware. And I just realized that the BBC have been doing a whole week of documentaries and programs on TV about mental health. So it just kind of fell in at the right time as well. So which wasn't my plan. My plan was just to make a documentary just to highlight the issues. And that's it, really. I went there to Pakistan and shot the film in probably about 2 weeks. And then I came back. I entered it for the Cannes Film Festival. It got selected by the jury member, which I was shocked. And then from there, it's just the audience's reaction that I've been very proud of. I mean, even yesterday, it was screened at the Regent Street Cinema in London, and I had a kind of, not a standing ovation, but I actually had a really long applause. So I knew then that, wow, this film is really affecting people.
Wow. What is it?
I want it to be screened with an Asian audience as well, though. So, yeah, I was very, 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 very proud of the film. Yeah, people were emotional. That's what really shocked me. There were people like in tears, and I didn't really understand that a film that is just under 4 minutes that would affect people so much. So it resonates. It probably resonates around every single culture, be it whatever religion, race, or background that you actually have. So I was really very, very, very proud of it.
Mashallah. Something about you, Aneel, that is spontaneous. We cannot take that a word away from you. The spontaneous idea that you had in Pakistan, which is now gaining international recognition. What are you hoping people will take away from this film? Because you've mentioned it was your cousin, which is quite a risk to take as well, to actually film your cousin who has this condition. How did your family respond to you filming him?
Well,
and has your family seen the film? And
yeah, I had an interview with the BBC as well with Nehal, and he asked me the same thing, because people seem to automatically assume that if you make a documentary and it's about mental health issues, it's going to be a negative, and it's going to be something that's going to be very sinister, and it's going to be pointing fingers at people. But as a documentary filmmaker and as a filmmaker in general, I don't approach projects or stories in that kind of way. I try to tell the truth and try to make it as simplistic as possible. So it's a human story. When hopefully, inshallah, when it gets screened and people start to see it, it's not about this guy's wrong, this person's done this and this person's done that, they're not doing this and they're not doing that. Because that's what usually happens in, the Asian community. They always think that it's always a negative. It's from Pakistan. It's always a negative. And I don't really look at it that way. And my documentary certainly isn't that. My documentary is about the love for a brother. So the story's from Babli's brother's point of view, but him looking after him and through the trials and tribulations of looking after him.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that the film itself, I didn't have any problems making it in Pakistan, because I've made loads of documentaries and shorts in Pakistan anyway. So my family in Pakistan actually know I'm a filmmaker. They were very proud, funny enough. We didn't really know how good it was going to come out in a way, but when they realized that the film has been received really well in the UK, they were very, very proud. So for me personally, though, everything doesn't have to be a negative, meaning that we don't have to, if you've got a portrayal of a Muslim family or if you've got a portrayal of an Asian family, it always seems to be perceived in the media as a negative. And I'm not really like that. I'm not saying that I don't make controversial projects, but I try to make truthful films where, whatever culture, whatever religion you are, so long as it's true and it's honest, then the audience will know. There's no point in me saying this is negative and this is bad and this is bad to try and portray something, to try and hype up a film. I was very truthful with the film. It was very emotional and it was very honest. And then when I got the feedback from people, because that's what I want to do as a filmmaker, I want to get the feedback from people. And they said to me, you know what, I had a tear in my eye. I go, why? They go, because it was truthful. It was true. It was a story that resonates with me, even though I don't have anyone with mental issues in my house. It wasn't like, oh, our Muslim people are Pakistani people like that. No, it's about making films that are honest, and that's probably the difference between me and maybe a few other filmmakers that are flying around. I try to tell the truth, try to make it as real as possible, good or bad. So for this specific film, it wasn't about how it was perceived, because some people have asked me that question. So what did your family think, or what did they think? Because they think it's a negative subject or a taboo subject, which it is, but for me as a filmmaker, my film, when you get to see it, I will get you a copy as soon as possible. You will realize that the film is a honest story telling the truth about a person who suffers from schizophrenia, mental health issues, depression, and then you go, wow, yeah, I understand, Aneel. I understand what you're trying to do with this film. And that's the beauty of filmmaking.
And that is what documentary filmmaking is, though, isn't it? It's trying to keep the story true to its essence, and which you clearly have done, and you've received that response from international audiences.
I watched the Panorama one. Sorry, I watched the Panorama recent documentary about mental institutes, and it was a very hard-hitting, gritty, let's show the institute, punching people in the face and all the rest of it, which is fair play because it's a Panorama documentary, and I understand that. But how many people are making films about true stories about people's lives and their everyday life and what they do, how they deal with it? Because anyone that's lived with anyone who's got any mental health issues, it is a struggle every day. You've got to wake up, you've got to look after them, you've got to give them their pills, you've got to give them their medication. They're going to have tantrums, they're going to have problems. And as a family and as parents, you might have an off day, you might get angry, you might shout, or but 90% of the time, from what I know from the Asian community, they're very loving and they're very supportive. So that's my experience. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of negativity around there. There probably is. But from what I've seen, people are human. They've got good sides and bad sides. So it's not for me to try and make something to make it controversial and just put all negative stuff in it, which I didn't really do. I was very truthful to what I saw, and I followed the story in that way. So that's it. And that's why. And even if I wanted to make something really controversial, there wouldn't have been a problem making it as well, because I never ever lie when I make films. I try to tell the truth. That's all I do. As a documentarian, that's what I try and do. And
Aneel, I hear the passion. I hear the passion and conviction in your voice, and I can completely understand why this film was so successful. It really did. It's resonated deep with audiences, international and national as well. Now, how can people get an opportunity to see Babli, the short documentary that you've made? For folks that have just tuned in, I am speaking to no other than Aneel Ahmad, who is an award-winning film documentary maker. He recently screened his short documentary film in the Cannes Film Festival, and it's also been screened in London as well. And the story showcases, it's actually a short film of his cousin Babli, who's suffering from schizophrenia and chronic depression. Now, I would love to find out how I can see this film.
Right. Well, at this present time, me as a filmmaker and you, as a short filmmaker, what we tend to do, we make short films and we tend to spin them around the film festivals. So 2 film festivals down. Hopefully, I'm going to be getting it screened in a few more film festivals, maybe back in London and obviously in the UK and then around the world. The best way of trying to find out where it won't be on YouTube, it won't be on any social network platform, because as a filmmaker, it kind of belittles the project. What we try and do is give it a festival running. So I'm going to give it a festival running for a year or so, and it'll be selected at certain film festivals around the world and hopefully a few more in London. And the only way to find out is basically just follow me on Twitter, which is Aneel Ahmad, and that's it. And then I will always give updates of the film, where the film's getting screened and which film festivals it's going to get screened, because for me as a filmmaker, that's what we do. We make short films and we put them in film festivals and we give it a run. So hopefully, inshallah, God willing, I'm hoping to get it screened at some big film festivals and push the film as far as I can for the next year. So really, it's a selected film festival, to be honest with you.
Fantastic. And will it be, you talked about around the world, so will it be going back to Pakistan? Will you be doing a screening there?
Well, I probably will do a private screening because unfortunately there's no film festivals there that I can put the film in, because usually every country around the world would have a film festival. So what I will probably do, which I have done previously on my shorts, is basically get a screening in a cinema and invite as many people as I can, especially family members and people in the area and community, and try and get some form of press. Apologies for the police car driving past. But yeah, I will definitely get it screened in Pakistan. But yeah, inshallah, I'm hoping that I can get it screened as much as I can in the UK as well, because I am an English filmmaker as well. So,
because it's
I'm proud of that.
Documentary filmmaking is about educating audiences, and obviously there's a stigma around mental health, and in particular in Pakistan. So hopefully this will help resonate and create more understanding in the communities in Pakistan around schizophrenia. Inshallah.
I'm not saying that it's not a taboo. It is. I mean, even though, like I said to you, that I'm trying to make a film that is not all negative, but realistically, even as Muslims, somebody has schizophrenia or has some sort of mental issues, they think that he's possessed. So that's the first thing you hear straight away. No, that's not in my documentary, but what I've seen that. And so obviously, we've got to tackle issues, maybe not in my generation, maybe the older generation, first generation that come, they have a very kind of very stereotypical kind of view to mental health. But I think we are getting a little bit more educated, and we're realizing that it is a real issue. My biggest concern is how we deal with people who are, especially women who are married, and then they spend, 24 hours, 7 days a week at home looking after kids, and suffer from mental health issues, and they never speak about it. The husbands go to work and then they come back, and there's a lot. I've seen that a lot in the UK. I might do a documentary on that.
Maybe that's the subject.
I think that's a big thing
because
that's happening.
Maternal.
Silence.
Sorry for interrupting you there. Maternal mental health is something that is being spoken about, but not enough. And I think it is an area that needs exploration and discussion. And that leads on to one of my projects, Aneel. So I might have to collaborate with you, because I'm looking at a project
definitely.
Which is...
I'm speaking from experience, because my mum goes to a centre now, which is a centre of Muslim women, and they all meet, and they get to meet and have conversations with their friends and all the rest of it, and she goes once a week, and then I went there one time and I saw a lot of women suffering from mental health issues, and because they never go out of their houses, they never really communicate with anyone else, and I think that's a big issue, especially in the Asian community as well. So that is definitely something to explore, because I asked my mum about that. I said, Mum, what's going on with this situation here? They go, well, that woman's suffering from health issues, that mum was suffering from depression, and I said, why? I go, because they live. Some women are on their own. The kids have grown up, got married, and they're on their own. Their husband has passed away, and they're living on their own. And it's very difficult sometimes to see that. And maybe we don't really look into it as a community in a whole. So yeah, I would love to explore that as a documentary in the UK, definitely, because it's very heartbreaking as well when you see some of these things that happen in communities. But it's good to have centres. I think the government needs to open more centres and more community centres, especially for Asian community, to provide them services. Give them. There used to be money that the government used to give. Send Asian communities to Blackpool and help them on their mental health issues. But I think it's all been cut.
Yeah,
so if anybody listening from the government, you need to put that back in place. Help people with mental health issues and give them the platform to, live their life a little bit, which is a shame.
This is where communities do need to come together, because we cannot rely on just the government, especially with all the cutbacks that are coming in, austerity kicking in so greatly. So it's down to communities like ourselves coming together, recognising where we need to make that difference. And the difference you are making through your art and creativity, and this is where art plays a massive big role as well as creating change, positive change. Now, it is Ramadan. And you have been traveling around the world in Ramadan.
I've been following. Fasting. You know, people said to me, "Oh, you don't really have to fast." I said, "You know what? One thing I do, I'll always fast, no matter what, because you know, there's some blessings from God. The film will do well a little bit more." So I was in Cannes. Everybody's around me drinking, you know, and all the rest of it, and I said, "You're not eating, you're not drinking." I go, no, I'm fasting. So the time difference was a little bit difficult, but overall, it was okay. You know, I'm pretty fit, so I don't really mind.
Because I want to ask you, what have your Ramadan goals been? Have you been able to achieve them?
My Ramadan, you know what? My Ramadan goals have always been never change your pattern of what you're doing. Because what happens I'm getting on a bit, but what happens is that I always hear people complaining when they're fasting, "Oh, I can't handle it, it's too hot, I'm hungry, I need to drink." And then they forget the reason for Ramadan. Ramadan is actually a spiritual thing to get you get a stronger connection to God. And they forget that. And I think, you know, it's not about hunger. It's not about wanting to drink. You're going to eat anyway. You're going to drink anyway around about 9 o'clock. So if you just have that in your head, you're not going to have an issue. My personal goals was just to have I am so proud, I'll be honest with you. Since the film's done really well, and it's been in Ramadan as well, it's just made me feel really good. So I've kept all my fast. I didn't care, because I knew, you know, travelers don't have to. But I looked at the times. I figured it out. Even though it was 1 hour back and 1 hour forward, I still kept them within the times and everything. One thing good though, in France, the Muslim brothers and sisters were very accommodating. You know, I went to places and said, "Look, assalamu alaikum, I'm fasting," and they were giving me food for free and everything, and that was a beautiful thing to see, because wherever you are in the world, if you're fasting, people are very accommodating, and they, you know, "Do you want anything to eat? Do you need to?" I go, "Look, I'm gonna be fasting tonight," and they gave me food for free, so it was brilliant.
That's beautiful.
Exactly, and and that was while I was getting my film screened. It was a bit weird because there was a lot of razzmatazz in Cannes, but I'm a very humble person in a way, so I just thought, right, I'm fasting. It doesn't make a difference what other people are doing, so long as your deen is right and your heart is in the right place, and you know what you're doing and where you're going. That's all that counts. So if eating and drinking isn't the issue, it's basically keeping yourself in the right spiritual frame of mind. So I don't have issues in Ramadan. I've never had. I cycle in Ramadan. I go to the gym in Ramadan. It doesn't affect me. I do 25, 35 miles on my bike. So if there's anybody young listening complaining, I'm a really old man, and I'm still biking and doing everything during Ramadan. And I never use
you're only in your 40s. You're not that old. Stop it.
Well, compared to the 20-year-olds that I always read on my Twitter feed, "Oh, I can't handle it, I'm dying."
Oh, bless you.
When's Ramadan? And I just think,
you've woken us all up. You've woken us all up on this wonderful bank holiday. Now, bruv, I'm going to have to say...
No complaining, I don't want to hear any more complaining with people who always...
Right, I'm going to have to say goodbye. Have a wonderful Ramadan, and thank you for joining me this morning, because we're heading off to a break.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz. Take care.
Hafsa, Mummy's taking us Inspire Eid. Where? The Eid Festival at Lucy Park. I'm so excited. Me too. I couldn't wait to go on all the rides. And I'm performing at the Kids Talent Contest. There's also a human table football, like a really big football table. And don't forget the bazaar Mum wants to go, and the different food we're going to have. Mum also said all the rides and activities are £1, so we can have as much fun as we like. This sounds like the best Eid event ever. When is it? On the 4th and 5th of June from 12 to 8 p.m. at Lucy Park. I need to tell all my friends so we can have the biggest and best Eid ever.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shamiza.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It's 11:30 Monday, 27th of May, and you're listening to me, Shemaisa, taking you all the way up to 12 o'clock, the final half an hour of the show. Once again, it's gone by very, very quickly, and always an absolute pleasure doing the show and speaking to the tremendous guests that join me, sharing their creative journey. Now, mashallah, all three guests were discussing their creative journey, but also using the topic of mental health and fusing that in their creativity. We had the pleasure of listening to Malika Speaks, who's doing a video diary, which she has launched on social media, sharing her journey. Then I was joined by no other than Asim the Poet, who's an author, motivational speaker, and a performing poet. And he spoke to us about how bullying impacted him, and he used writing as a means to express his feelings and strengthened him to continue doing what he was passionate about. And then joined by no other than the very vibrant Aneel Ahmad, all the way from London. He's a Manchester-based English filmmaker of Pakistani heritage who has been creating short documentary films for the last number of years. And his short film, Babli, which he filmed in Pakistan, and it was filmed on his cousin and his other cousin, the carer of Babli, and he followed his journey where Babli, a middle-aged man, was impacted by schizophrenia and chronic depression, and he followed that journey. This film was entered into the Cannes Film Festival and made the final. It was screened to an international jury and received great accreditation, and the film was showcased at the weekend in London, and he gained a standing ovation from the audience. So well done to all three of the guests, and the listeners listening in for sharing their passion in creating change, especially creating change and getting rid of the stigma around mental health. Now, on today's show, we're also talking about the ways in which we can actually bring communities together as well, so that they have the opportunity to engage, to share, and to get involved as well. And one way we're doing that is through the Inspire Eid Festival, which is the first time Inspire FM are doing, and they are really, really proud with the success. The Eid Festival hasn't even happened at Lucy Park, and it's lots of rides. It's happening on the 4th and the 5th of June. The event hasn't even happened yet, but already the community has come on board and taken ownership of this event. And we're going to find out how they've done that by having Brother Tariq in the studio with me and talking to me about the event, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Tariq.
Walaikum salam, Sister Shemaisa, how are you?
I'm very well. I've woken up now.
Have you?
Finally. I was mumbling and mumbling over my words, a little bit tired. But alhamdulillah, listening to Brother Aneel Ahmad has surely woken me up.
He's so full of energy, mashallah.
So much energy, travelling around the world with his film and then educating the young uns. You know what? Get your energy levels back up, people. It doesn't matter if it's Ramadan. There's no excuses. That's what he was telling us. But he raised a very interesting point about how communities kind of are disconnected. And he was talking about in Manchester, his mother, and the fact that she goes to a community centre and there are lots of sisters there. Some are widows, some are older women whose children have grown up and kind of like they're on their own now, and they feel quite disconnected. And he was talking about there needs to be more investment, and there were trips to Blackpool that, you know, you could bring the community together to go to, and there's no funding for things like this. For, like, you know, the older South Asian community where there was previously, but cutbacks obviously across the country. It seems to be the poorest and most vulnerable are hit the most. But this is something that Inspire FM is really trying to focus on, aren't they? And the festival, this Eid fair, I'm going to call it a fair, not a festival. The Eid fair is something that you're hoping is able to achieve this bringing the community together.
Yes, definitely. To be honest, a majority of the campaigns that we run here at Inspire FM are very much community-led, and the community need that's out there. We don't really have time to do things unnecessarily, to be honest. So a lot of the stuff that we do will directly be something that's linked to our community. As our Radio Ramadan, tagline used to say, we are a radio station for the community, by the community, and alhamdulillah, that's exactly what this is, and what all our plans and our campaigns have been about. This particular idea, and again, I just need to make a bit of a correction where you say this is the first time Inspire FM is doing something like this. Eid Festival isn't the first time that we're doing the Eid Festival itself. We've been doing this for about maybe, I think, 6 or 7 years.
But this one stands out the most to me.
The reason this is different, again, and this is where the community need comes in, and this is where every year, so for the last 6-7 years, we've been doing a Eid Festival in Dunstable Downs, which has always been on the weekend after Eid. What we had was, we actually had a couple of sisters who actually approached us, to be honest, not so even long ago, maybe about March time, and one of the sisters was actually a social worker in Luton, and the idea that she came across was that it's beautiful to see so many charities doing gifts for Syria, doing gifts for the children of Gaza, and there's so many different initiatives going out there, and alhamdulillah, it's beautiful to see that. What about gifts for children in Luton? And I was kind of taken back, saying, why? What's wrong with the children of Luton? Why do they need gifts? Gaza, Syria, again, is quite apparent why they need it. But Luton, is that really a need? And she was saying, yes, most definitely. There are a number of families out there who are struggling so badly to the effect that their children do not celebrate Eid. Their children do not celebrate Eid because they literally don't have the means to do so. There's families out there, again, having worked with the food bank, we know there's many families out there who are really struggling. And they're not families who, even the supposed kind of, you may have this mentality of thinking that they're families who maybe are drug abusers or alcohol abusers and stuff, and that's not the case at all. Sometimes it's literally a situation of there may even be two parents who are actually hard-working parents but just not making ends meet because of their financial situations. And again, this is where the food bank and other organizations come in and help. And when the sister made this point, I was taken aback, thinking, seriously, are there actually children in Luton who don't get to celebrate Eid properly because of the financial concerns? And one of the things that she raised was there's actually sisters out there, single sisters, who will send their children to school on the day of Eid purely because they're in a situation where they're thinking, well, at least on the day of Eid, they may get to have some sort of fun in school. They may at least have a cooked meal in school, whereas at home, what are we going to be able to offer them? So subhanAllah, this really, to be honest, kind of shocked me. And I thought, you know what, living in this society, in this day and age, running a community radio station, if we are not able to put a smile on those children's faces, then to be honest, it's a shame on us. And this is where the whole idea came from, and as you've seen, it's just developed into something bigger and bigger and bigger. We had never, to be honest, really kind of anticipated that it was going to get to this kind of level. But alhamdulillah, and even this week, as you mentioned, Amina Alina's dad, out of nowhere, just coming out saying, you're doing £1 rides. And we thought this was actually, for us, to be honest, as a radio station, we thought this is a massive achievement. £1 rides. We didn't think it would be possible, purely because I was thinking we need to look at the financials. Where is it available? Are the Fund for Your Rides going to do it? Because ultimately it's down to providers. If they're not able to provide, they're not able to provide. What can we do?
Of course.
We don't unfortunately have these kind of rides in my back garden, unless you have, Shemaiza.
No, the state of my garden. If anybody would like to come and lawn my garden, I'd be very grateful, because the state of the garden, it's got so high, the grass. Something to do on Bank Holiday Monday. Now, I have to, today I've really struggled to keep my eyes open. Another error I made, I called Amina and Nani. Is it Amina and?
Amina Alina,
and I said Amelia.
So, you mixed the two together.
So I mixed the two together. You know what? We need to get their dad into the studio. We need to speak to him on Rise and Shine, because he started this all off. It's his fault.
It's nice. It's an amazing initiative. And to be honest, you know what it is? Do you know when brother, the last guest, when he was saying regarding how the community in Manchester is disconnected? We are not disconnected in Luton. We are so connected. Honestly, it feels so amazing that the community in Luton is so caring. They are so caring, and they are concerned about one another, and it's absolutely amazing to hear that.
It's beautiful, but I have to point out, Manchester, mashallah, is a wonderful community, and people are connecting, but it's those people that are hard to reach. That's where I think he's trying to say that there are people that are hard to reach. And when you are older, the older generation, it does sometimes get a little bit harder to kind of get them out, build the confidence there. But I do have to share a story of Manchester. There's a group of brothers and sisters who, mashallah, are not only providing free food for the homeless in Manchester, in Piccadilly, the central part of Manchester, but also providing free haircuts as well.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful story that was picked up by the mainstream media. So they're not just providing free food, but also, haircuts and grooming and hearing checks and dental treatment as well. So, may this continue. And then somebody else, I saw a post by somebody who said that, our brothers and sisters, Ramadan isn't the only time that we think of the homeless and the poor. We should be thinking about them beyond Ramadan as well. So that's another message that really, really resonated with me. But coming back to our beautiful town of Luton, massive big salams and duas to Amina and
Amina and Alina.
That's it, I got it. Amina and Alina's father.
Write it down, Shamiza. Write it down.
I've got to write this down. Stay blessed, brother. Jazakallah khair for this wonderful, wonderful idea that you put forward. And, it's had a trickle effect. It's really, really made us think about something that we've never really, really thought about fully, because we just assume everybody's having a wonderful time on Eid. We assume children are wearing brand new clothes and there is food that's being cooked. Eid is being given and children are going to festivals and fairs. And this thing about festivals and fairs on Eid is a new thing. It wasn't when I was growing up as a child. I think the last 6 years we're seeing them getting
possibly, yes.
Bigger and better. So this is kind of an added pressure on parents, really. It's a new thing. And I think a lot of parents survive because the children's Eidi, they're able to use the children's Eidi to pay for their rides.
Yep.
I know that's happened for me in the past. Like, you've got Eidi, you can use that to pay for your ride. So that kind of, the money is used there. But there are children that don't have access to this type of money. There are parents that don't have access to this type of money. There are mothers, as you've mentioned, single parents who really, really struggle. But it's also children in foster care as well, that don't have access and opportunity, and their faith is, or Eid is not fully accommodated. So alhamdulillah, you've had access through the social workers to provide vouchers.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Since it's literally since Tuesday, Amina Alina's dad actually suggested this, saying, "I would like to sponsor some actually Eid gifts for these free tokens, essentially for these children to go on." What we were able to do, alhamdulillah, due to the fact that obviously we've been around for the last 22 years in Luton, and we're very well connected with the community. What we did was we quickly reached out to the local schools, to the primary schools, high schools, infant schools, and contacted the family workers who, of course, as most of you will know, are very, very well connected to the schools and the families, and they know exactly what the situation of each family in the schools are, and who are those families who are kind of really struggling financially. And instantly they replied back to us saying, "Yep, we know a number of families in our schools who would really, really benefit from something like this, who are families who would possibly never go to a fair, as you said, because they don't have the means to do so, and they don't need that added pressure, of course, in celebrating Eid."
Because it is added pressure, it's extra money. Where do you get the extra money from? When children can be quite demanding, they see other children like,
exactly.
No, I want this, I want that. And as a parent, you don't want to say no, and you don't want to say no on Eid day.
Exactly.
Because it's all about the children.
Exactly. And to be honest, I really feel for those parents who have to say no and who don't have that.
I'm one of them.
We'll give you a voucher, Sister Shamiza.
Thank you. Can I have 6?
So it's literally a situation where it's a real heartbreaker, to be honest, to know that there's children out there who will be kept away from certain fairs and celebrations and stuff purely because they can't afford to go to them. So alhamdulillah, in this situation where not only in a situation where we have been able to get the rides completely for £1, and I must remind the adults out there as well, all the adult rides are all £1 as well. So if you are in a situation where you're an adult and you're thinking, I want to go on the rides, will I have to pay more? No is the answer. Every single ride, it will be £1 each, inshallah ta'ala. So please do make sure. I need to clarify regarding the dodgems, because there's normally 2 people in the dodgem, there will be £1 per person. So effectively, there'll still be £1 per user, but there will be £1 per every single ride. There'll be a number of adult rides there as well as children's rides, and everything will be £1 each. But on top of that, as Sister Shamiza has just mentioned, we've had had an amazing response from the community. Over £2,000 has been donated towards free rides.
Wow, 2,000.
Yep, and alhamdulillah, we have had a number of course, schools, as we said, contacting us. I actually had the assistant head teacher of a local high school contact me on Friday, saying, I was listening to your Rise and Shine show this morning, and I heard you mention this. How does this process work? And I informed them, obviously we've contacted your school, family workers, they should have contacted you. And she wasn't actually aware of that. And she said, I am aware of at least 300 families in my school who are really struggling. But of those families who would not go to these events, there's at least 50 families. Can I please have 50 tickets?
Wow.
And we said, of course you can. So this is literally a situation where if there is somebody out there, even to this extent now, the only problem we have from a verification process, if somebody just calls in and said, I need help, or I need this, whatever, it's difficult for us to verify. So we'd really appreciate if it was through school family workers or food bank or somewhere, whether because they have a verification process, they've got a system set up. We don't really want to reinvent the system.
Because we want to do things logistically correct.
Exactly.
We want to make sure that, the right people are getting the right support. We want to provide free for everyone, right? Not me, but you guys, right? You want to provide, but obviously there needs to be a system that's fair in place. And mashallah, thank you so very much to all the generous community that has come forward. I mean, 2,000 free vouchers. That's phenomenal.
It is. To be honest, I didn't expect that response. When I first got the message and I was told I will donate £30, and I was like, okay, fine. Somebody else said I'll donate £30. Somebody else said I'll donate 100. I was thinking maybe we'll give 400-500 rides free, alhamdulillah. And then somebody messaged me saying they will give 1,000 free rides. And then suddenly I'm like, okay, 1,000 free rides. That's a lot of money. But alhamdulillah, there's people out there who have children, especially, and when they hear things like this, it touches their heart. And it is a situation where, to be honest, one of the campaigns that will hopefully be releasing a press release in the next couple of days is Every Child Must Smile. And this is through Food Bank. And again, we've spoken to Food Bank, and we're making sure that every single family who comes to a distribution to this week and with Food Bank, they will get 3 vouchers for the family to be able to come to the event itself. Muslim or non-Muslim, whoever they may be, they will be invited to the event itself. And this is where I think it's so important that on the day of Eid, every child in Luton should have the opportunity to smile.
Alhamdulillah. And you said something, it's open to everybody. It's a community event.
Yep,
this
definitely.
is not just because you're Muslim, you can only attend an Eid festival. We want everybody and anybody who would like to come down to the festival, come in and share the joy of Eid with your Muslim community. Alhamdulillah, this is what it's all about. But I want to ask you, brother, this event is getting big.
It is. It's getting bigger and bigger.
Volunteers? What's going on?
Yeah, thank you so much for reminding me about that. It is. It's getting into a much bigger event than we anticipated. Again, for any of the events that we do, it's completely volunteer run, and it's a situation where this is why we're able to be in a position where we can give completely 100% back to the community, because in able to arrange £1 rides, and aside from the rides being free tokens, we've actually got a massive amount of other things which are completely free. We've got a massive games room where there'll be a number of maybe 15, 20 or tabletop games, all completely free. We'll have a massive, really big children's play zone area where there'll be a number of various different activities, maybe up to about 15, 20 different things going on there, all completely free. So all these, there's a number of things which we've already arranged for free, because we anticipated there was going to be a number of families who'd want to come down and enjoy themselves at the event itself, but not be able to maybe spend that much money. So there's a number of free activities already which have been sponsored by and kind of supported by the local businesses in Luton. But alhamdulillah, with these free rides, this is taking this whole thing to another level. But as Sister Shumaida said, we are very, very much in need of volunteers, so we're able to offer that quality service that we always aim to for our community, inshallah. So if you are able to volunteer for this event to help us, please contact us. And that could be anyone. And this is where a lot of families will probably think, well, it's the day of Eid, how can I come and volunteer? volunteer on the day of Eid? Well, you can, because we want you to bring your family with you. One of the biggest concerns about volunteering is, I need to be with my family on Eid. Well, bring your family together with you. There's a number of things for the children to do. There's a number of various different foods and chill out places where the sisters, and they can just chill out, sit down at a table and have a cup of coffee and have a good old chat, whilst of course our brothers can volunteer, the sisters can volunteer, and the brothers can have a chat if they want, whichever, either way. But the point is, this is really a really, really good family atmosphere where there's something for everyone to do, and there will be massive opportunities for volunteering. And what I really recommend you do is, if you are able to volunteer, then bring your families with you, inshallah. There's food there, there's activities, there's everything there.
Now, the food isn't free, people. I know you want to hear that, but it's not. It is going to be a good price, decent price.
This is again something that we have considered. Of course, what we don't want families to do is come to a fair where the rides are near enough free and obviously are very cheap, but have to pay a lot of money on food. So what we've actually done is we've actually slashed, and again, this is something sometimes you have to be fair to the food providers as well. If you're charging them £400-500 a stall, they have to obviously make that back, and they have to put those charges on somebody else. So here, what we have done is we've actually slashed the stall prices to next to nothing, to be honest, and literally charge them for the actual stall space itself. And what that means is, what we have actually said to our stall food providers in particular is, you have to reduce the prices, because we're not charging you money. We don't want you to charge the money onto our community. So whatever savings you're making with us, can you pass those savings on to the community and do the food as cheap as possible? So what you'll hopefully find, inshallah, is that not only will you be hopefully coming to a fair which is going to be very cheap, a lot of free stuff going on, but very, very affordable food as well, inshallah. So it'll be a very affordable event, inshallah, all round.
Sounds super exciting. Once again, folks, Lucy Park, Luton, 4th and 5th of June, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. All rising activities are £1 and some even free. It's Inspire FM's Eid. Together we celebrate with a wonderful, wonderful celebration of lots of activities going on. We've got fun fair rides, inflatables, human table football, soft play, tabletop games, arts and crafts, henna. Can't forget henna. You've got to have henna there. Face painting, kids talent contest. Now tell us about the kids talent contest.
Kids talent contest. The lines are still open until this Friday to enter. If you've got a child out there who would like to enter, there's 3 different categories. There's qiraat, recitation. There is speech. You can give a speech, and also, of course, nasheed. A speech could also be a spoken word poetry if you wanted to be, or also, of course, you've got the nasheed or naat categories. Also 3 different categories. All the rules are on our website, inspirefm.org/Eid. The booking form is there as well. There is a voluntary donation of £5, which will help us pay towards the trophies and stuff. There will be trophies, first, second, and third prize, as well as medals for all the participants. And this, I think, is a really good. It's actually an initiative which was started off by Al Hira Masjid. Mashallah, may Allah bless them for coming forward and wanting to run this. They'll actually be running the whole activity for us, and this is actually something really good, positive for all our children out there, which really kind of gives them the encouragement to speak on stage. You'll have a really nice stage set up, a really good sound system and chairs set up as a good audience type of setup. So it'll be really good for our children to actually kind of give them that confidence to speak in public.
And do they get to speak to you? Will they be meeting you? Will you be there on the stage doing a meet and greet like all these Insta influencers do?
I will be. I'm not sure if many of those people will be coming over like that, but I will be there. I will be there. And Sister Shemaiza, will you be there?
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this.
I do hope you'll come down, inshallah. To be honest, all our presenters, one thing that we have said to all our presenters is that they will make every effort to come down at some point during the day. So if you are somebody who wants to meet the wider Inspire FM family, then please do come down. And of course, myself, the Inspire FM management, the Inspire FM presenters, volunteers, everybody, we will all be there, inshallah. And it'll be really good, opportunity to meet us all.
You know what's wonderful is, because it's 12 till 8 p.m. Now, if the children take whichever day they are celebrating, if that be the 4th or the 5th, and if parents, so you've got one day off, and then they can go to school the following day, and then after they've finished school, they can come to the festival.
Exactly.
And even parents that are working, you still have time to come to the festival the following day, from the times of 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's the timing is great. It's and Lucy Park is a gorgeous park. It's but please be mindful, guys, when you're parking. Please be mindful of the fact that it will get extremely busy. Parking may possibly, you need to know the area.
What we've also got as a parking, just to quickly mention, is we've been very thankful to Chalkers Academy.
Oh, fantastic.
What they've actually said is that, of course, because it's a normal school day, they will be requiring the parking space up until 3:30. But after 3:30, you can park in Chalkers Academy.
Brilliant. How awesome is that? So, yeah, because it's very close to Chalk Hills. So that's brilliant news. So parking is available at Chalk Hills Academy. We will be talking about this event across the Rise and Shine show on Friday on Mother's Planet. Sister Neelam, I'll be a guest on Sister Neelam's show, and we'll be talking about it again, about how to make Eid affordable and the hacks in doing so. It's been an absolute pleasure, Brother Tariq. Thank you so very much for sharing this information with me this morning. It's the Inspire FM Eid. Together we celebrate, and my goodness, it's a celebration that's not going to be forgotten across Luton, open to the whole of the community across 2 days, 4th and 5th of June. And that's next week. It's not, oh my goodness, it's only next week. So do keep me in your du'as in the final days of Ramadan, and the repeat of the show will be 8 p.m. and inshallah, catch you on Monday next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.